Like I said, there were others that saved people of Nanking, like Robert Wilson, otherwise known as the only surgeon in Nanking. He was a graduate of both Princeton and Harvard, kind of an overachiever, if you ask me. But
Yeah.
but since he grew up a missionary's kid in Nanking, that's where he decided to open up a medical practice. He felt like that was his home, so he went back to his home. Now, for all those months during the bombardment, and even after the occupation, Wilson went to work. Even after the staff at the hospital fled the city, Wilson stayed and helped people. And remember, these aren't just the run-of-the-mill sick people. This is severe trauma, unlike anyone had seen. One story about a woman in desperate need of attention goes, quote, and when I read this, you're going to go, bullshit. And I said the same thing, but this is what they wrote. This is what, like, one of the nurses who worked in the hospital, one of the very few that stayed behind, I believe she wrote this in her diary, and that's where we get it from. So take it for what you will. But This is about a story of a woman in desperate need of attention.
Oh, hold on a second before you start. Is
Go
this the guy? Is this going to be the guy who was apparently cut in half, and they bring him in, and he's somehow still alive?
Staple him back.
It's like, I swear he cut me in half with one blow.
And it's like, it's not lined up right. It's like one eye is higher than the other. No. Quote, she was one of the 5 women who the Japanese soldiers had taken to one of their medical units to wash their clothes by day and be raped by night. 2 of them were forced to satisfy from 15 to 20 men, and the prettiest one as many as 40 each night. This one who came to us had been called off by 3 soldiers into an isolated place where they attempted to cut off her head. The muscles of the neck had been cut, but they failed to sever the spinal cord. She feigned death and dragged herself to the hospital, another one of many to bear witness to the brutality of soldiers.
Dear Lord. What?
I can only go by the story that's there. How they cut through all the muscles of the neck, but not the spine. I can understand you don't get through the spinal cord because it's inside the spinal column, and you might not have been able to get through the bone.
Yeah,
how you
your
cut
knife
through
was
the muscles
blunted
without cutting all the arteries and veins that are in the neck and you bleeding out.
That's the thing, yeah. I think the only way that makes sense in some ways is if you went in through the side, which is exactly where the arteries are. If you went in through the front, that's the windpipe. Went in through the side, there's the arteries. Went through the back, you're getting the spinal cord.
So, like, take it for
what happened is she has a scratch. This girl went in with a scratch on her neck.
Either she has a scratch or she has arteries and veins made out of fucking titanium. I don't know.
Or adamantium. It's Wolverine's daughter or something.
Vibranium. She comes from Wakanda. I don't know. So Wilson and the other few that had stayed in the hospital pretty much ended up living there, working in shifts, and protecting the hospital in shifts. There were always Japanese people or the traitorous Chinese people that had turned against them, always trying to sneak in and find out who was where so they could give the army better idea of what was going on in there. And they're always trying to combat, the army coming in, taking people and all this. Patients who had nowhere to go weren't discharged. It wasn't, okay, you're good to go. You got to get the fuck out of here. It was, where are you going? My house is gone. Okay, well, you're just going to stay here then. And those that could leave and had a place to go were escorted home by foreigners who were less likely to be murdered by the Japanese in makeshift ambulances. And they did all of it for free. Not a single person was charged for anything. Now, this is pretty much a...
I was going to say, what are you going to spend it on anyway?
Yeah. Now, obviously, if this happened in America, they'd have to make sure your HMO went through. They'd have to, you come in there with an arm missing. They'd be like, well, we don't accept Blue Cross Blue Shield. We only accept this. They're not paying. They're not paying through the state.
Medical insurance.
Federal. Yeah.
Yeah. If it was here, you'd be waiting about 6 years to see somebody. Like we don't have the whole we have health insurance, but we don't have the issue that it is in the States where you won't get seen without it, kind of thing.
Well, if you have the money to pay for it.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like it's but here you'd be waiting months upon months or years upon years. Apparently there's a whole thing here now, actually, so I don't want to divert too far, but
no, go ahead.
No way, like everywhere has, like, across Europe, Ukrainian refugees and stuff like that, and there's been a whole thing here where they're flabbergasted at how long it takes them to see a specialist for anything. So if you want to get just normal generic medical care and you want to go into the A&E thing, I don't know if that's what you'd call it over there, but you go in, get seen to for something, whatever, it's fine. But if you want anything above that,
if you need scheduled care,
it's impossible to get it here. Like we're waiting for 5 months for the results of an X-ray from where our son hurt his foot, and we think he fractured it. Yeah, still haven't gotten the results of the X-ray.
The doctor calls me. Well, it's broken. Like, but it fixed
that's great.
Already.
Thanks.
It's fine.
Yeah, thanks. That's why it's upside down. He's walking around his foot, going flipping around like this.